This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
When Marie Antoinette's cart passed the Protestant temple called the Oratoire, the Queen noticed a young child in his mother's arms about the same age as her son, Louis Charles. The child sent her a kiss with his hand, and despite her insensitivity to the crowd's affronts, the Queen's eyes filled with tears. The sight of this little blonde head likely reminded her of the boy torn from her arms only a few months earlier. This was perhaps the only time that the Queen was brought to tears along the dreary route. An ever-growing crowd awaited the tumbril when it arrived at the royal palace, Palais Royal, and the Château d'Eau. The Queen remained stoic, like a statue, amid the savage cries of the men and women with their fists in the air. According to a relative of the Vicomte Charles-Henri Desfossés, who took part in the procession, the Queen's hair was cropped around her neck, her cheeks were flushed, her eyes were bloodshot, and her eyelashes remained stiff and still. Other witnesses noticed the bloodshot eyes, but they may not have been caused by tears. The Queen had suffered insomnia since the beginning of her trial. She was in poor health, and she had been breathing poor air in her dungeon cell. When Marie Antoinette saw the entrance of the royal palace, witnesses claimed she appeared troubled, and her face reddened. Perhaps the sight of the palace triggered painful memories. Her husband's cousin, Louis-Philippe II, head of the House of Orléans, lived there. A prince with anti-royalist sentiments, he had voted in favor of the death sentence for the Queen's husband. The growing mob and its raging threats against the Queen made the cart's passage down the Rue Saint-Honoré increasingly difficult. But the Queen remained calm. Perhaps she had prepared herself for the fury. She was certainly expecting it. In prison, she had once asked one of the gendarmes, "Do you believe the people will let me go to the scaffold without tearing me to pieces?" After leaving the royal palace, the cart passed the Rue de l'Echelle to the church of Saint-Roch. On the night of June 20, 1791, the royal family had escaped through this street from the Tuileries, only to be arrested the next day in Varennes. Returning to Paris under heavy guard, the family was met by a revolutionary crowd in aberrant silence. The people loathed them. Today, the spectators were cheering the Queen on her way to the scaffold. During the Revolution, the church of Saint-Roch was often the scene of shootings, which left their marks on its façade. For several minutes the Queen's cart halted here, where the women who had marched on Versailles on October 5, 1789, gathered on the church steps. They wore red bonnets and carried pikes. One, by the name of Rose Lacombe, led the group with a banner reading, "Here's the vile tyrant whom we hunted right in front of us." Gramont had organized this demonstration, and on his signal the Queen was showered with insults. Rising in his stirrups and brandishing his sword, the former actor cried out, "Here she is, the infamous Antoinette, my friends. She's screwed, my friends. We are going to give you her head."